What's up guys, my name is Anshul and this is my review for this all new iPhone 16 Pro Max, the big bad boy from Apple for this year. And spoiler alert, this entire video is being shot on this all new iPhone 16 Pro Max, just so that you know. And also I have taken my sweet 5 days to make this review so that I could justify that what this device is all really about. But now I am more clear than ever that Apple really just made 4 conscious decisions. The number one decision is to make small improvements to the device that is already very good, but do not touch on the big improvements and just make some small minor improvements to the device, because it is not much very different than what we had on the iPhone 15 Pro Max from the past year, which means that we still have grade 5 titanium, but now to improve the things a bit more better, we have got a 2 times stronger the ceramic shield on the front and the back of this device, which is a slight improvement, but something that a lot of people would not notice. And even if this improvement was not there, it would just not make a lot of difference. But the other thing on this device is now that we have got 2 buttons on this device instead of the one that was added from the past year, and that is this camera control button along with this action button. And again, this does not mean that it changes the design of this device. Again, a slight improvement on this device, but also now we have got a bigger 6.9 inches display that is very similar to what we had on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but that thing, it had a 6.7 inches display. But apart from that, it is almost a similar display from the last year with the same nits of the peak brightness whatsoever. The performance on this device is improved by 15% bump from what we had on this iPhone 15 Pro Max from the last year. But the major improvement, it is not really coming from the chip itself, because the design and the architecture on this chip is almost the same as what you had on the A17 Pro Bionic chip, but it is just because a small improvement, and that is a new thermal substrate on this device that is not new for the Android smartphone, and that is how the smartphones have been from quite a few years. But a small improvement on this device that might have not made a lot of difference for a lot of people that we know around. But also we have got a faster MagSafe charging at 25 watt with a 30 watt of charger if you have, because yes, yet again there is no charger in the box as we already know of. But if you have got the right cable and the right fast charger, you can do fast charging on these new iPhones. But also now you have a support for the Qi 2 charging, again a slight improvement than what you had on the iPhone 15 Pro Max from the past year. But also now we have got 4 more hours of battery on this all new iPhone 16 Pro Max, and if it was not there already, the iPhone 15 Pro Max was having one of the best battery life out of any smartphone in the market. But again, it is a slight improvement as I call for this video at least. The cameras on this iPhone 16 Pro Max, they are not much more different than what we had on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and most of the improvements are really coming from this new and a better ISP that is sitting on this A18 Pro Bionic chip on this device, which means that we have got the same old 48 megapixel main camera sensor from the iPhone 15 Pro Max from the past year, but now it is rebranded as this new Fusion camera sensor. But this is the same camera sensor, the exact same one as we saw from the last year. But this Fusion technology, all it means is that you can shoot a photograph in a 48 megapixel mode or a 24 megapixel mode, or at the same time you can also use this very same camera lens as a 2x telephoto camera sensor, because it crops into a 12 megapixel of the image. But we have got the same old, I would say the second generation of the sensor chip technology that was again same from the past year. So again, not very much improvement, but the major improvement in this entire camera setup is a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera sensor at a focal length of f2.2 for the macro photography mode. But again, we have got that old camera sensor from this iPhone 15 Pro Max that is a 5x 12 megapixel camera sensor at f2.8 aperture. This is the same camera sensor, but because of the new improved ISP on this device, you may see better results from this camera versus what we had from the past year. And I did take a lot of videos and photographs from this thing over here, and in fact this entire video is shot at 4K 30 fps, even though that this is capable of 4K 120 fps. My reason to shoot this video at 4K 30 fps was just because of a smaller size that I can get out of this video, and it is easy to edit on my old MacBook Pro, that is the one that I use for editing my videos. But again, we have got this 4K 120 fps mode, which is new for this year. But if I just talk about the general quality clarity, it is not much better than what we had from the iPhone 15 Pro Max from the past year. But again, you get to see more of the color accuracy on this device, and also more shadows and more highlights that are retained on this device. But also now we have got a better HDR photography and videography, and also now this video camera, it does support this Dolby Atmos thing as well, that is new for this year, but again a slight improvement. But one another feature that was included in this year's of these iPhones is that now you can take the spatial photographs on this thing over here. That was something that was not available on the past years of the iPhone. This mode was just available for the spatial video recording on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, but now again this is a slight improvement on this device. But also we have got this cinematic slow motion videograph. It also allows you to change the FPS of the video after the video is being taken on this iPhone, and it is a slight improvement. But also we have not got any kind of 8K recording, and there is no 1-inch camera sensor on this all new iPhone, and this is something that I have been asking from Apple from the longest time. But also Apple could have just enabled the 8K recording just because of a very powerful chip inside of this, versus what we have on the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, that despite of the fact that the Google Pixel 9 and the 9 Pro XL, they did not have one of the best chips in the world, it does allow for the 8K video recording, even though it is enabled by this video boost feature that again sends the information to the cloud to be able to process and get back the information to you. But again, that feature is available on that device, and even the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, it is much more capable, and it does allow you for the 8K recording on those devices. What I really think is that Apple just does not want to include a lot of new features so that it can sell you in the next year. But also there is one new feature on this iPhone 16 Pro Max that I really like about this phone, and that is this all new audio mix feature on this device. And it just allows you to adjust the way that the voices sound in your videos using 3 different voice options that are the in-frame, the studio, and the cinematic. And those basically range from suppressing the background noise, or to make it sound like recording in a studio, or to bring all the noises that are in the background to the front of you, just like what it is in a normal movie that you're watching in a cinema hall. And even though it is an enthusiast feature, but for the people who are into content creation, this one over here, it does make a lot of sense for this year of iPhone. But one more thing that I want to show is this D-pad thing. As you can see that I have got this D-pad that changes the tone, the color, and the palette of the image. So let us say that I have taken this photograph, and maybe I can pre-apply the settings. But also once the shot is taken, I can go to the setting, and I can go to this D-pad thing again, and I can change basically the tone. And basically how it works is that Apple is just pushing the layer where you can just make the changes or the edits to the photograph. It is not the first one or the middle one, it is just pushed to the last layer where you can just edit or make changes to the image. With this thing over here, you would be able to make the changes on each and every photograph. But also in the Photos application where you're trying to take the photograph, you can just set one general setting so that the next time that you are taking a photograph out of this iPhone, it is already set to the color and the tone that you set on this D-pad. So something that I would say a macro control over the photography, and the way that it is better than all the other implementations that I have seen from all the other smartphones in the longest time. But again, a slight improvement rather than just bringing a lot of new features. But now the features that a lot of people, or maybe 50% of the people, just do not even know that how much would a difference these features would make on the latest iPhones. And that is why Apple might not have just included all these new features on this latest iPhones over here. And the number one feature is again the 6.9 inches display on this iPhone 16 Pro Max, that at first look might be a quite bit deceiving, because a lot of people might think that it is a better display because it is more edge to edge. But the reality is that it is almost a similar display as what we had on the iPhone 15 Pro Max, with again 2000 nits of peak brightness versus a 3000 nits of peak brightness on the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, and a 2700 nits of peak brightness on the Google Pixel 9. So yes, Apple is really lacking behind in the terms of the display technology on this year's of iPhone, and they just have to say that the brightness on these displays, they go as dim as 1 nits of peak brightness. But again, hey, the Android smartphones have been doing the very same thing from quite some time now, and especially the Samsung smartphones that we have seen in the market, they have been doing the very same thing from the longest time in my opinion. But there are some other things, just like this iPhone 16 Pro Max, even though that it has got a faster CPU, the GPU and ISP, the amount of RAM that is available for this AI thing over here is just capped at 8 GB. But this iPhone 15 Pro Max from the past year, it also had an 8 GB of RAM, just like what we have on this iPhone 16 Pro Max, that is the latest one for this year. And this means that there is just no improvement in the terms of the bandwidth of this RAM availability for the AI task on this device over here. And that is again something that is surprising to me, because we have seen a different strategy that what Google has been implementing on their Google Pixel 9 Pro and the 9 Pro XL, because those smartphones have really got double the RAM, that is 16 GB versus this 8 GB one. And whereas 13 GB of the RAM is available for day-to-day tasks on the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, and 3 GB of that RAM is just for the AI task, and that is again something that is not available on this iPhone 16 Pro Max for this year. And if Apple could have just improved this thing, I think this smartphone might have been a bit more, I would say, future-proof. And also, they did not upgrade the selfie camera on this all-new iPhone 16 Pro Max. And if I just compare this thing with something like this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, I would say that the results are a bit more better on this Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, even though that a lot of people, when they pick their phone, they just choose the iPhone just because of a better selfie camera on the iPhones, rather than picking something like the Samsung smartphone or the Google Pixel smartphones. And this is something that Apple is just not even trying to deliver on this device. The third thing on these new iPhones is the AI, but as of filming this video, the AI features are just not available. Apple would be rolling out these features by region to region and by country to country. But if you are in North American market or the European market, you would be just fine, because you would be seeing all these, or maybe not if all these, most of these features by December. I will make a new video about all these new AI features on this iPhone 16 Pro Max when these features will be available on this device, because let us be real and just make this review about the features that are available on this thing right now, rather than just building on the promises that would be later this year or maybe even more time. But again, you have got some of the features like the writing tools and the new series, the proofreading feature, the Genmoji feature, the visual intelligence, and all the latest AI features that should be available on any flagship device for this day and time. So yes, we will be evaluating on all these features later in this year. The fourth decision that Apple really made on this device is the inclusion of this all new camera control button. This is a feature that is built more for like the enthusiast people, because in my usage of this feature from the past 5 days, I just use it for the demonstration of this video rather than just making it a habit of using this feature every time. But yet again, it also now has got the taptic engine to simulate different presses as you go on this smartphone. But yet again, this is something that Apple never acknowledged, that this is a regular button. But here you have it. This is an actual regular physical button. If you press this button once, it will take you to the camera GUI. It does not matter that what application you are in, you just need to press this thing once and it will take you to the camera GUI. If you tap again and if you slide on the top, you will be able to change the settings, swap the lenses, change the exposure, change the zoom setting and more. And it does take a lot of time to get used to this thing, but once you use it for some time, it will be a bit more natural. But now if you want to take a photograph, you can just press this button a bit more firmly and you would be able to take a photograph. But if you just continue to hold this button for a bit longer, it will just take you to the video recording mode. Once you take off your finger from this button, it will just stop the video recording on this iPhone. But also, one major complaint is that because of a larger size on this iPhone 16 Pro Max and just because of the placement of this button, I think so that it is very difficult to press this button in a vertical mode. But again, something that would not be a real difficulty if you're having an iPhone 16 Pro. That is again a smaller device, and I think it is easy one to reach on a small device in my opinions. And well, that was all that I wanted to share about this all new iPhone 16 Pro Max, and the verdict is that this smartphone is not much very different than what we had on the iPhone 15 Pro Max from the past year, but the only difference is really this all new desert gold color, or maybe this camera control button that is again something that is available on the iPhone 16 and the iPhone 16 Plus as well. So again, this smartphone is not much very different from the last year, and the incentive to upgrade from this iPhone 15 Pro Max to this iPhone 16 Pro Max, it is just not there. But if you are upgrading from something like the iPhone 12 or maybe the iPhone 13, I think that this is one of the best devices that you can buy, because again, the better cameras and one of the most all-rounded devices that you can pick up in the market in this day and time. And that was all that I wanted to share in this video. My name is Anshul. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.